When I was a little girl, I grew up in a small town in Michigan where there were no Black physicians, no Black dentists. Yet somehow my mother was able to see when I was just 3 years old that I had an inclination and interest in medicine.
Wow.
She said every time I would go with her for my baby sister's appointment, I was all up in the way when our pediatrician was examining the baby. And when she was pregnant with my youngest sister, I was so inquisitive and always asking questions. And she said then she knew I was going to be a physician. Now, unlike people today who can say they can model themselves after someone that they have seen in the community, I didn't have that opportunity. And I will say, even after moving to Alabama, I went into an exam room to see a child, introduce myself as Dr. Mobley, and the little boy said, "You can't be no doctor, you a girl."
Oh, wow.
So not only was it about the race, being a woman of color, it was also the gender, right?
Right.
So representation in medicine is so vitally important.
Right.
Because we need more.
Right.
There's only 2.8% of the healthcare workforce that is represented by women of color.
Right.
Right? And in order to grow, increase that percentage, we have to be visible so that there are other young women that can say, hey, I want to be like you.
Yeah. Well, a little different for me is having grown up in Atlanta where there's an abundance of Black folks, right? My mother definitely was able to find physicians who looked like me that I could go to, where I had opportunity to attend like programs. I attended a program at Howard University when I was in high school. I was exposed to physicians in the area, but never women. My first OBGYN was a Black man. First time I was exposed to a Black woman physician, like I said, was in medical school,
Right.
actually. It is, actually a little bit before that when we were in PA school, of course, I went to work for a Black woman, OBGYN. But that's well into my adulthood.
Right.
Before I really had an opportunity to really see them. But at least I had some exposure as a young person and got more interest in medicine. So you can come from two different perspectives, none to some.
To some, but not many.
But not many. But recognizing that you had that inclination, that you were interested in medicine, your mother still nurtured it, right?
That's right.
So we have an opportunity to do that. And the more visibility we have, of course, the more young girls we can encourage to think about this road that we've taken.
I believe one of the ways that we can cultivate the next generation is by basically giving them opportunity for an introduction early.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
As high school students, allowing them to shadow.
Right.
And allowing them to go on rounds, for example, not just being volunteers in the nursery, but actually walking side by side with another woman physician to see the details of their day.
Well, the other great place where any of you can help out is down to elementary and middle school.
That's right.
Getting girls interested in STEM.
That's right.
Any kind of STEM program. Now, I want them in medicine, but you've got, science, technology, engineering, math, all of those areas can lead them finally to medicine. And it is our hope that that will happen. But just going into school doing small things.
Right.
And they just see you,
right,
and know
it can give them that spark that they need.
Absolutely,
that spark of interest.
Right. Now we get stuck sometime into it's just medicine, but there's so many other avenues now where your skill set as an MD can come through and really be helpful.
Especially in medical research.
Right.
There's, I mean, so many projects that are taking place now where the focus is on the Black community, right? And that is being driven by women of color.
Right.
Who are scientists.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at, like, even we have a couple of medical schools now that are run by women of color.
Right.
We have women of color who've served in very high positions in the government.
Right.
You know, so we do have more representation than we had before, but certainly not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. Yeah. I think about what our young physicians are facing. You know, you and I talked about how we got to medical school, right? We both went as a different route.
Right. It wasn't the direct route straight from undergrad into medical school.
Right.
So my detour occurred by way of discouragement. So I attended a majority university, and I had a academic advisor who said that I was not a competitive candidate for medical school, and stressed that I needed to go ahead and look for an alternate, career. And that's what led me to discover the physician assistant profession. And that's how I ended up at Emory at that time.
All right. And I was telling you, for me, same thing. I went to a majority school, but I had a person there who was interested in helping me. She didn't know a lot, but she found this program that I could attend in the summer that would get those who are interested in medical school kind of a leg up, where we would learn about the MCAT test that we'd have to take. We'd be exposed to the kinds of classes that you would take. And what I noticed about that program when I was there that I shared with you is several of the other students were from HBCUs. They knew about that, and they were there in large numbers. And here's my one little me that I saw.
And then someone like me who never heard of it.
Right. Never heard of the program. And the program still exists today.
Right.
But it was not a part of my majority school experience. She just happened upon that program.
And you happen to have someone take an interest in your career goals.
Right. So it doesn't always happen that way. And it still was not enough for me to feel confident that I was ready for medical school. And so the physician assistant program came as another program that I could think about, where I still could do the passion of medicine.
Right.
But then what happens? You and I are working in the same place where we're working with residents who looked at us and said,
why?
You can do more. Why are you?
And they
not
spoke
a
those
physician?
words of encouragement.
They spoke those words.
Each of us had the desire to begin with.
Right.
So that allowed us to just push forward a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who might be interested in going the medical school route, it's important for you to know there are programs, much like at Morehouse School of Medicine, where I attended medical school. They have something called the Bridge Program, where you're able to take classes during the summer months along with their first year class. And if you perform well, then you will have an automatic spot in their next year's class. There are other schools that have similar programs. Some are HBCU based schools and some are majority schools. So it would be important for you to research that for opportunities.
And look, when it's time to go to medical school, the school you get in is the school you're going to. But I think there is something special about having gone to Morehouse School of Medicine.
I do too.
And these other HBCU run schools, Howard University, and
I wouldn't trade it for
anything
anything in the world. Now, of course, our school is much larger now, but when we were there, the class sizes were small. And all of the professors knew you by name. So if you weren't in class, you were missed. But not only that, remember Dr. Moore? He would have those those study sessions in his home.
That's right.
Cook that great Caribbean food.
Oh, wow.
And you would be fed knowledge.
Right.
And you would leave with a full stomach as well.
Right, right. I'm
Okay.
excited about Xavier coming on board. More schools
Right.
that are focused in on the experience of the patient of color and the physician of color.
Right.
I learned a lot that I would have never learned at a different institution that had me laser focused on our experiences and
That's
how our
right.
culture matters.
That's right.
But that's not to say that anyone who's at a different institution won't get what they need. We're just talking about the experience.
Our
of getting it.
nurturing experience.
Yeah. So representation, it absolutely matters. And you can be a part of that experience. And we want you to be a part of that. And again, this is a space where we want to talk about that, of how important it is for us to leverage who we are and all of our experiences to make sure that we are taking the best care of the communities we serve.
As well as one another.